I don't think people should dial back on big creative ideas. But if you're going to do that, you need to set out a plan of how you're going to accomplish it when you get the idea and not leave it to the last minute. And then it's like 3 minutes
Maybe.
and you're like, no more ideas,
And,
no more long passes. It's not going to be sexy.
Yeah.
Just get it done.
Like survival instincts kick in.
It's like we have a dinner party happening and Ryan's fixing our water irrigation system in our garden. And I'm like, where is the priority here? And now this project used to feel really intimidating, but it doesn't because we have a system. And I think it just speaks to like finding a way to close the loop on whatever project or experience you've been working on. Hi, this is Lindsay, and you're listening to my May 2026 episode based on my Lindsay's letter shared this past month to our community, titled 4 Ways to Make the Most of Limited Time.
Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Ryan. I'm a co-founder of Student Made and host of this show, Making It Creative. Today's episode is a Lindsay's Letter episode, which means we'll be hearing from our co-founder, Lindsay, on a message about being a founder, the ups and downs, challenges, and growth, and of course, the lessons learned along this journey. Today, we are talking about making the most of limited time for our students in Student Made. This means the end of the semester coming up and final exams and the final push of running their business before summer comes. This could be in the context of the end of the year or the end of the quarter for your business, or this could really apply to anything outside of a business context. When you are up against deadlines for finishing something, or you feel like you are lacking enough time to get something accomplished that you're aiming for, and how do you react and stay productive and effective even in that environment?
There's a specific kind of pressure that hits when time is closing in on us. Deadlines are stacking, we need to finalize our projects, etc. But what often happens when pressure builds is that we also feel this urge to step up and make the most of time that's left. Making the most of this precious time and energy will only work if it's done the right way. So in this episode, I'm going to outline how to capitalize on opportunities when time is low, bringing in some of my examples from running Student Made that I think will apply to what you're working on too. All right, let's lock in.
Perfect. So how this episode will go, we have 4 topics, as Lindsay mentioned. So we are first going to be getting clear on what actually matters. We are going to learn to not default to busy mindset. We are going to finish what we started. And we are going to not forget to enjoy the hustle. So we are going to hear Lindsay read this first part of her letter for us that she shared this past April, and then dive into it a bit deeper.
So topic number 1, get clear on what actually matters. Learning focus is a true art form. We have so much thrown at us, but when we realize the limitations of our time, it's essential that we get clear on what actually matters and understand that not everything deserves our attention, at least not right now. When there's not much time left, the biggest trap we can fall into is simply trying to do too much. Take a moment and think, what's one thing in my business that drives results that I can prioritize this month? Or, what are the most important areas that I need to perform well in? What did I start a while back that I really want to follow through on? Once you identify what really matters and will make a difference when you look back and reflect months and years down the road, focus on staying there. It's okay to eliminate the extra. So I start with this topic because I think it makes sense to be step 1. If you're busy and you're dealing with a time crunch, you need to start by stepping back and kind of evaluate all the things on your mind, all the things that you feel pressure to do, and minimize that. Because we'll talk about it a little later, but like the overwhelm of that, simply the overwhelm will make it really difficult to accomplish anything. Something that I thought about with this topic specifically was an analogy that I think applies whenever Ryan and I are watching sports games, specifically football, I might say. It seems like one team is not playing well basically the entire game until about the last 3 minutes of the game. And then they kick it into gear. And I was thinking about this, and I was trying to think, like, psychologically, what happens in those last 3 minutes for that team. And I think they realize there's a deadline. They only have so much time, and all they need to do is score, right? So, like, the focus narrows of, like, we're not going to try fancy passes. We're going to be, like, really specific in our execution of scoring points.
Yeah, it is true. It makes me think of the Patriots 2018, I think, Super Bowl against Atlanta, and they came back in like the last quarter. They scored like 28 points and won. And it's just so crazy because we're always saying, like, why didn't they just do that from the get-go? Like, why didn't they just try that hard from the start? Imagine if you came out to a game and you pretended you only had 3 minutes left from the first quarter and you played like that, you would score like 100 points. But for some reason, it's only in the final down to the wire. And that seems like it's true with everything. Homework assignments, projects. It's like when it comes down to the wire, you're like, okay, I actually have to do this thing. And you do it really well.
Yeah.
And actually focus on it. But it is, yeah, we were talking about how, like, and I'm not a football coach by any means, don't know very much about it at all. However, from an outsider standpoint, from a totally innocent, objective third-party bystander, it completely seems like, why didn't you just try that hard from the beginning? And I feel like I don't know what else is going on in the game. Like, I don't know. Are they trying to work out some sort of complex game plan? Are they trying to like share the ball equally? Are they trying to? I don't know what. But when it comes time to score and you're the Patriots, you want Tom Brady to rob Gronkowski over and over and over again for 10 yards, 10 yards, 10 yards until you reach the end zone. So why don't they do that from the beginning?
It's like incredibly simplified. Well, yeah. I also applied this a little bit to student made and kind of like our workflow in the year. And we do all of our preparation for the upcoming year over the summer. And we're throwing out like any possible kind of idea. So like everything, oh, let's do this, we can improve this, let's try doing it this way. And we start the semester that way where we're like, oh, we have all these things we want to accomplish. But then come, March, we're like, we have 2 months left of the semester. Anything that we didn't get to, we're not going to start now. And for us, like a specific one that I have my program managers focus on, pop-ups. I'm like, everything else can wait. And that goes back to when I said, pick the thing that has, in my mind, I think of it as like ripple effects. So what's the thing you can focus on that's naturally going to impact the other things you want to accomplish anyway? And so for us in Student Made, if we focus on hosting really good pop-up shops, we are inherently doing creator recruitment because people are likely to see what we're doing and get excited about it. We're likely to increase sales. And we're doing like really impactful marketing at the end of the semester. But it's only one thing. Whereas if we were focusing on recruitment separately and marketing separately, it'd be chaotic. And so going back to the football example, I think like they might have all these fancy plays, but when it comes down to it, 10 yards, 10 yards, 10 yards. That's kind of how I think of it.
Yep. Well, that's a good connection. So student-made pop-ups. So a big metric that all of our schools want to see for student businesses. How many sales are they making? Pop-ups are the most effective way to do that, kind of the quickest, best way to reach customers directly, like right there in person. And okay, so you're saying basically it's one focus, but in that one focus, you are accomplishing many different things. You are heightening like number of students.
So try to find that thing
involved, number of students make. Yeah. Okay. So the one thing that's kind of like the big whammy, that's like, do this thing and it will take care of several other things. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
An example of what not to do would be like, I'm just going to answer my emails for the last 2 months of the semester. Like, that's it. Because to me, that's like, okay, you're picking bare minimum there. It's not the strategic choice. It's like, okay, I have to do this. So don't go like, oh, I'm just going to respond when people reach out to me. It's like, okay, what's a proactive task that's important to whatever outcome you want, and pick that.
Well, that's reassuring for me. For having 450 unread emails, that's exactly the strategy I was employing there. So thank you for reassuring me that this is not the time to respond to emails.
Nope.
That's great to
Update, this
hear.
does not apply to
That's
you.
great. Sorry if you're one of those 450 people. But yeah, semester's closing in. Like no time to respond to emails.
I still have time.
Also, you still somehow have time. Some of us work faster than others, more efficiently. Depends who you are, personality type. The last example here was a Christmas example, which was kind of funny. And I can think of some family members specifically. Like, oh, I was gonna get this person this gift. I saw this thing. I was so excited to get them that, like concert tickets or this trip. And they're like, last minute, I just went to Walmart and got them a basketball. Or like, and it's this kind of like, how did we even connect that? I don't even know what we were saying with that. Basically, how like when it comes down to the last minute, you got to actually make a decision, but you have all these ideas throughout the year. You have like all these, oh, we could do this. This would be so great. And then when it comes down to it, you settle for kind of the whatever.
It's the same kind of mindset where you start off with like all these grandiose ideas of like, oh, I think of it also as just like getting your Christmas shopping done before, like well before December. I feel like everyone goes into the year with that, like, oh, I'm going to get it all done and not be stressed and rushing and getting last minute gifts. Yeah. But then it's November 1st and like you have to get it done. So you go to the mall and get everyone something from the mall because it's just like a one and done versus like, I'm going to paint this portrait from scratch for each one of my family members, you know? So just that kind of mindset of honing in on what's the actual objective. It's to get a Christmas gift. Ideally, you have employed skills to actually accomplish these tasks before you get to the last minute. But what we're trying to showcase here is there's this kind of shift that happens when you close in on, okay, I have a short window of time left, and brain changes, strategy changes.
So is that a bad thing that you wanted to create a custom portrait for every family member at the start of the year? Was that like too ambitious?
No.
Or
no,
are you saying like you're supposed
to
just go to the mall and get something? So like don't wait till the last minute to do that.
No. No, neither extreme is true. We're going to find something in the middle. My hope is that you have all these awesome ideas, and if you've listened to other episodes or read my blogs, I share tips on how to accomplish goals. I'm trying to share like the switch that happens when you have no time left and you really need to hone in on like what is left to what you need to accomplish and not get overwhelmed by, oh, there were all these things I wanted to do. It's that mental shift I'm trying to hone in on here.
Okay, so the mental shift. Let's see if I can mentally shift to get this one. So this is like last month with freedom with purpose. Oh goodness. Okay. So because I'm really going to try to use this one. We only got 8 months till Christmas. So if I have all these ideas, the mindset shift is basically focus on what matters and do what again?
No,
what do I do?
This does not apply to you. This topic does not apply to you now because you have 6 months till Christmas. So you need to go back to a previous Lindsay's letter that talks about 8 months, whatever. A previous Lindsay's letter that talks about how to accomplish the goals you set out. Go read my Lindsay's letter. That's the one on goal setting at the beginning of the year and actually accomplishing our goals. This topic is if it's November 15th and you want to get Christmas gifts for your family. Do you know what I mean?
Because you got limited time. I think I get it now.
Yes.
So what do you so when you have limited time, what are you supposed to do? So you're saying you don't want to settle for like the Walmart basketball for your nephew Joey. You want to get him something nice.
No.
But what are you supposed to do with when November comes around? Like, are you supposed to start his custom portrait because you only got a month left, or no? Like somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle, I would say on the gift example of like, okay, can you accomplish that idea that you had, but in a less grandiose way because you don't have as much time. So like, don't settle for like, I'm going to go to Walmart and get the easiest thing. Or can you like custom order one on Student Made or something else. So you're still accomplishing like,
order.
oh, I wanted to get a really nice gift, but I'm not going to teach myself to
Okay.
paint this portrait in the time between November 15th and December 25th.
Got it. I feel like there are so many people out there with such great intentions that like really went out and bought all the paint supplies. We're watching YouTube videos, like we're really committing themselves to learn how to paint, to get this gift for someone, and
Yeah.
then it just doesn't work out. You know, I've had so many things
And
like that, which is not a surprise.
people,
I've
and
really
I
had the
don't think
intention.
people should like, I don't think people should dial back on big creative ideas. But if you're going to do that, you need to set out a plan of how you're going to accomplish it when you get the idea and not leave it to the last minute. Because it's just too big of a thing on top of all the other things you have to do to really like get it done properly.
Yeah, especially we're talking about one gift for one person, but if you got like 8 family portraits to make, that's not going to happen.
I know.
You better start in
exactly
January. Yeah.
But that's like, think about going back to the football example of like Tom Brady. Maybe at the beginning of the game, he was like, I'm going to throw all these awesome passes that are like Sports Center top 10. You know, he had these big grandiose ideas of like, here's how my Super Bowl game is going to go. And then it's like 3 minutes and you're like, no more ideas, no more long passes. It's not going to be sexy. Just get it done.
Like survival instincts kick in. It's just about everything else gets blocked out.
And that's where we're at. Yeah.
Hence Black Friday shopping, you know? You're like, screw this.
Yes.
I'm going out. I may have to throw a few punches. It's going to get done. I need a gift tomorrow because I waited all year.
Yeah.
And here we are.
I don't condone that either.
Throwing fists in the Target parking lot.
I have more examples as we go through the other topics, but like, I just think, and not, even if you're not a student right now, I think the perfect way to get in the headspace of what kind of feeling I'm talking about is if you're a senior in college that has 2 weeks before they graduate. That's where we're at. So you're like finishing this big life experience. You don't have a lot of time left. You also have like exams, but you also want to have fun and get cute grad photos, but also you have to move out, and like, where are you moving to? And it's like, whoa, we got to dial in here. We can't be worried about all those things at the same time, which leads perfectly into topic 2.
I was just going to say, does that kind of go into busy mindset? Because already just you listing those things, I felt the onset of busy mindset. So topic number 2, when you have limited time, don't go to busy mindset. Okay, what exactly does that mean? I guess we'll hear you read this part of your letter and then break it on down for us.
So think about it. If you stay consistent now with the challenge of limited time, you'll be unstoppable when you're working with a longer time frame. If you're at your busiest right now, it makes most tasks/opportunities intimidating. But I urge you not to default subconsciously to the busy mindset. Usually you have more time than you think, but being overwhelmed can trick you into thinking time is running out faster than it actually is. So even though you're going to focus on what really matters, don't close yourself off too much and start saying no to things you might actually have time for. Really think through the time you have left and how to use it wisely. Don't underestimate little pockets of time to make progress and accomplish your goals. Be thoughtful about your focus, but don't force yourself to say no or cut off too much. So this, I feel like this topic, one of the major things that I live by and promote is balance. And I think this speaks to that a lot because I'm kind of saying a little bit of both. This is a tricky one because I'm like, don't default to I'm so busy I can't do anything. But I'm also saying focus on what you do. So this is kind of the opposite side of what we just talked about before of don't try to do everything, but also don't just start saying no to things because you're overwhelmed. Actually analyze the time you have and what you want to do with it.
Okay. So Yeah, this example really puts me there. 2 weeks left of college. I can't imagine what I was trying to do with 2 weeks left of like senior year. You were saying
Yeah.
some things yesterday. Like we had to drop our textbooks off at this like random tent down the road. You had to drive like a mile down the road, and there
Yes.
was this like I think it was like a used book. I don't know. You'd go and try to sell them your textbooks.
Yes.
I don't know. Combined with yes, graduation photos, and then you're like, did I actually graduate? Like, how are these? Like, I
Where
hope
is the
I'm good.
diploma?
Hopefully, it gets here. Um, Gosh, you're thinking probably about all the things you wish you did over your whole entire 4 years of college that now you're like it's setting in. You're like, I never did that. I've got to go jump in the
Yeah.
fountain if you're at our school. I've got to do
Yes. Or
this and
steal a
that, and
brick.
yeah. And then for me, I don't know if this is like really busy mindset. I think for me it's more just like overwhelm. Is you're thinking about all the things that I could have done and didn't, and now I'm like,
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it's like depression mindset. You're like, dang, wow, I really should have done that. Or like, I don't know, just the regrets of like, or if you're
Yeah.
more of like a type A person, you probably just try to do a zillion things in the last 2 weeks to like, you know,
Yes.
meet up with all your friends, crush all your exams. I think with 2 weeks of school left, I was like, what's even the point of exams at this point? Like, what's the point? Like, I'm out of here in 2 weeks.
We're done.
Um,
Yeah.
we're done. They're not going to make a difference at this point. But but yeah, it can really. You see people running around like a chicken with their head cut off. Like, and even when we visit schools
Yes.
now, you overhear conversations, and kids are always like, the first thing they say is like, "I've got to do this, and then I've got to go here, and then I got to do this, and then oh my gosh, I'm going so crazy. I don't know how to handle this." And it's just like everyone's in busy mindset. It seems
They're
like,
so busy.
yeah, not even
And
just
that's where I
in
feel
life. It's
like
usually the first people interact with over it is like, you'll never guess how much I have going on.
and where does it
Yeah,
come from? Yeah, it
it's a
starts
lot.
here. So that's why it's important to like acknowledge it and manage it now. And so I can kind of see like with 2 weeks left or any kind of deadline coming up, there's two modes I think of. And maybe this is just me. Mode one is the frantic. There are only 2 weeks left. I have so much to do. I'm just going to do everything. And I think what happens when you go into this frantic mindset is that you start doing things in the wrong order. So you just disregard topic one that we talked about. Like you do not prioritize the important things. You are not like
Yeah.
weeding out things that don't actually need to be done right now. It's like if you have, this is a good example. If you have people coming over for a dinner party and you're cleaning out your garage fridge or something, like no one is going to go in there. No one needs that. You should be cleaning or you should be preparing dinner, right? But you're like, or a better example, you are like deciding what shoes to get rid of. Deciding what shoes to get rid of in your closet. And you have friends coming over in an hour. Like you're just doing anything to do something because you're frantic mind.
Yeah. You're probably procrastinating on the important thing that you have to do too.
Yes.
I think
that's a good point.
I kind of just pictured like a pyramid. And like what you actually have to do is like the top, the point at the top. But like I think of like everything that's under that. So I'm like, if I have to do this, like, okay, really what's under that is first I have to do this and then that and then that and that. And maybe if there's time, I'll get to the thing that I really have to do at the end. But like everything else under the foundation is good. And that's just, you think completely opposite. You totally start with that pinpoint and you go right for it and you forget all the other details. And I'm like, I can't always do that. Like it's not that easy.
It takes time.
I don't know what it is about it. I have to like I have to set the scene for doing that one thing. I have to make sure that the garage fridge is clean. And and then it's like, okay, now I can move on to the main event, what I actually have to do.
It's like we have a dinner party happening and Ryan's fixing our water irrigation system in our garden. And I'm like, where is the priority here?
That's on my mind. I got to get that out or else,
But that's mode one. So that's one type of person. Hopefully that resonates with some people. But then we have mode two on the other side here.
Sorry, I might just throw in the football example, just to come back to like picturing Tom Brady. The one thing that's true about when 3 minutes are left and you got to score is that they do really well. So I think that's like there could be a lot of pressure and you buckle under that. So I'm thinking like if I picture Tom Brady being frantic, I picture like you're trying to go so quick because you have basically no time. Like you still have 28 points
Yes.
to score, and you just start throwing the ball like everywhere. You throw it in the dirt, you like throw it in the
Yeah.
stands. You're just like freaking out. But that doesn't happen. It's like it's the composure,
No.
and yes you're focused and you are
Focus.
moving swiftly, but you're not frantic. And I think that's
Yes.
important too.
Exactly. That's a good
Okay,
way to
mode two.
describe that. And then on the other side of that, we have you're so overwhelmed by all the things you have to do that you kind of retreat from it all and you just start saying no. So it's like you have all this stuff to do, and your best friend from college is like, let's go out to lunch after our exams. And you're like, no, I don't have time for that. And it's not that you actually don't have time, it's your brain is so foggy that you're like, I can't do this. And we were even talking about from the college example of like, I can't remember my last 2 weeks of college. Like when I think back to it, I don't think back to, oh, I hung out with my friends every chance I got and we like soaked up our last 2 weeks together. I think like finals, projects, moving out, packing the car, like making sure my room was clean so I don't get fined. Like I don't remember the fun stuff
Yeah.
because I think I just like blocked it off my brain of I don't have time for that, which is sad looking back.
Yeah, I will say I think that college environment really grooms this mindset of like panic because the
Mm-hmm.
world is ending. And the rest of life
Yeah.
really is never like that. It's never been like that. It's never
No.
like I have this much to do with 2 weeks, and then I have to pack, and then I have to leave where I'm living forever and never come back. And then I have to also have my new plans figured out when I get home for like jobs or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I mean, that's a ton of stress. That's chaotic. Combined with
That's
leaving
yes.
people that you might never see a lot of them again, or at least for a long time. I mean, that is anxiety inducing. Like it should be. Okay, so mode one, frantic. Mode two, shutting everything out, being too selective. And of course, the middle, the happy medium, what you love to preach since day one here with anything and everything, is it comes back to the middle ground, which is a good
Yep.
lesson for life. If you find yourself at one extreme or another, there is always a middle. But
There's a
the
middle.
middle one's not the clear one. And that's,
Mm-mm.
you got to have like a little magnifying glass to see that middle ground, because we work in extremes. You see, I can either be frantic and
Yep.
get it all done, or I can just say no and do none of it. And
Yep.
yeah, you're probably going to burn out one
That
way
takes
or the other
practice.
if you work on extremes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you reject
And that's
everything
the
and say
good
no, you're
thing
not going to have any
about,
friends left.
as stressful as it is when you're working against a deadline, I think there's a lot of really good stuff you can learn during this kind of phase of life, because you don't have the time, so you really have to buckle down and figure out the best way to move forward. And so I think these kind of time periods are really special and probably are like one of the biggest opportunities that you have to change the way you think or grow the way that you respond to pressure. So I think there's a lot of opportunity with this one.
All right, well, that leads us right into we were speaking of some student-made examples, college campus context. Little commercial break here for the student-made shops coming to the end of the semester, and there is limited time per the theme here to explore the shops, to shop from students.
Hey, this is Lindsay, and thanks for listening to my episode today. Before we move on, I just want to take a second to shout out some ways to support Student Made and our mission with young entrepreneurs. Right now, our shops are preparing to close for the summer, so I would encourage you to go to our website, studentmadestore.com/campuses, explore our campus shops, and find some products that you love and support some student entrepreneurs, either before they graduate or just before they go on break for the summer. All right, with that, let's get back to the episode.
Fun little tea business update, especially because tomorrow is my first market. There's this connection we made here in Charleston, a friend of ours whose mom is opening a store in North Carolina, and it's like a natural product kind of, what do you call it? A farm stand type of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
she was asking, do you have any other Carolina recommendations of small businesses and like cool products that I could stock in the store? So she's going to try Gentle Soul herb blends in her farm stand in just outside Charlotte, North Carolina. And so I was like, "Ooh, let me go check. Let me go check UNC, NC State, and USC." And I was perusing through. I haven't looked through in a little while, and there were a lot of great looking things. I was like, "This would match her." I said the crochet plant hangers. I was like, "That would be a great fit for your store."
Oh,
From Evan at Rock Hill. Rock Hill, that's another one.
yep.
Um, and Caitlin Melton, USC. I recommended her cookies from her business Whisk Takers,
Yes.
which is great. And USC's been strong in the cookie game. There was Kylie before there who has cookies, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if this is a concept that people are familiar with or do, but like, does anyone order cookies online? Is there like a place that people do that from? That's like a main, like Insomnia cookies. Do they like? Can you order them online and they deliver? I feel like getting cookies delivered
Yeah.
is not like a
Yep.
super.
Insomnia cookies you can, and they do like bulk too, but you can get them like delivered warm to your door. And then I don't know if you remember this, but from the conference we went to in Texas, there's one in Texas, a
Yeah.
brand that's like super
Yes.
well known for
Tips
this.
treats. Yeah,
Yes,
tips
Tips
treats. They
Treats.
do, but they just deliver. Maybe they ship them. Do they ship?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Shipment versus delivery.
Yeah, shipment versus delivery. I'm thinking like, does the average person order cookie? Because the way that this kind of strikes me is, I'm like, why haven't I ever had something that like delivers cookies to your door? Because I don't ever go out and buy cookies anywhere. I'm never really going to go to Insomnia Cookies unless it's like I
Mhm.
happen to be walking by. But you got to have cookies, and like no one's buying store bought cookies. Like I'm not going to get a bucket of like chocolate chip
No,
cookies from Harris Teeter.
no.
So yeah, I'm curious if people kind of like have a site that they utilize for this. But because USC, I think it's a great idea. I mean, cookies are like, yeah, okay, like maybe not the most novel invention. However, having a great service that ships cookies right to your door, um,
Hmm.
amazing. And I feel like we should
I
actually
used to buy
utilize that a bit
Kylie's
more than
cookies
we
all the
do.
time, and they
You did.
shipped
You shipped them
perfectly. They were so
to
good. I would get like a six pack.
for
Yeah.
gifts. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So anyway, shouting out Caitlin, her business. What a clever name too, Whisk Takers. Anywho, that's just a little update. And with that, we will jump into topic number 3 here. When you have limited time, we want to make sure we finish what we started. And I'm sure there's a good reason why there.
Sometimes when we sense the end is near, we can panic and end up adding more to our plate. But let me remind you that it's not the time to start 5 new ideas. Instead, identify unfinished work and think about closing those loops. Unfinished work and projects drain your attention and slow your momentum. You likely already had an intimidating list in front of you. Don't add to it. Completed work builds confidence and gives you something to reflect and build on once summer comes around, or whatever's coming next for you. So ask yourself, what's already in motion that I can actually finish before this season ends? Or, how can I make the most of this experience in these final weeks? So again, this like automatically going back to that senior in college graduating, I just think of like the impending doom that you feel, or like any big life experience that's not going to come back again. There are lots of other examples. One I thought of was when you're on your last couple of days of vacation and like a really special vacation, and you're probably not going to come back to this place, and you've been looking forward to it for so long, and it's like the last day. And instead of relaxing, at least my mind goes to like, what are the 5 things we didn't get to do, or like 5 new things we can do before we go home? And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that mindset, but it's a little bit of a jerk reaction to like, I don't want this experience to end, so I'm going to just like add stuff to it rather than sitting in and being comfortable with and like reflecting on the time that you've had. That's the one that comes to mind for me here.
Yeah, I like the the part of what you read that completed work builds confidence. So the vacation idea, not
Yeah.
necessarily work, but it's just like a completed experience, I guess, builds maybe instead of
Yes.
confidence, we'll say satisfaction, fulfillment, whatever you want to say.
Satisfaction.
Um, and I think definitely, I think of this with Paris, and when people go to Paris, there's like a long bucket list of things to do, and people totally, it's totally a checkbox thing. It's like, did I go to the top of the Eiffel Tower? Did
Hmm.
I get a selfie here? Did I have a croissant doing? And it's just such a, I got to get through all this, or else the trip's not complete.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
instead of really feeling the sense of like, wow, we did that for each thing, it's like, what's the next thing? Like,
Yes.
and then the things you didn't do, you're probably looking
Yes.
back, being like, oh, we never did that. I would probably say that rather than like, okay, what did you do? And what was
Yes.
meaningful about that? Um, and when it comes
Yeah.
to things like work or projects, the things you complete do build confidence, and then they give you a platform to go into the next thing with, that like a feeling of
Yep.
good standing, of doing well, rather than like, well, I kind of bailed like
Yep.
75% of the way through that, but I'm going to start this thing. And you're kind of going
Hmm.
into it with not a lot of confidence because you didn't do great on the last thing.
Mm.
And you
No.
don't really know what it takes to finish that, 25%. And,
Yeah.
but it's always easier to start something than finish something, I think is the key there.
Yeah. Definitely. So I would encourage whatever season you're in or whatever this looks like to focus on the topics that like have really mattered to you during that experience, and like I said, closing the loop on those. So what's one way that you can really solidify like that was a big part of this experience and I want to feel fulfilled in that, rather than introducing brand new topics that you really haven't thought about before but you're just like, this is ending and I want to grip. um
Hmm.
there's a lot of examples with that, of like in college, of maybe you were really involved in a specific organization, and so instead of going to like another event on campus, you're going to go to the last meeting with the club that you were a part of for 4 years or
Right.
something. You know what I mean? Rather than like the event that you never got to go to in your 4 years, I would focus in on what you were a part of, what you did invest in, and close the loop on that. This is a stretch, but when you brought up the France example, it made me think of when we went to Italy with Ryan's family. We found this one restaurant we loved, and we kept going back to it. And like on our last night in this place, we were like, we should go somewhere new. But then we were like, but why? It's almost like we closed the loop on this was such a special part of the trip and we loved it so much. Like, not just the food, but the whole environment and experience of it. And so we went back and kind of like nailed in that as this is a really special standout part of what we did here.
Hmm.
That's how I would, take that concept into whatever else.
That's a neat little tangent there.
It worked, I think.
How about some examples from Student Made, from your role as a CEO, leader of Student Made? What have you seen from
Yeah.
projects that we've accomplished in the past, and how they kind of set the stage for making new projects and kind of growing into new phases from what you've accomplished in the past?
That's a really good question. I think one that comes to mind, especially just because of the time of year, this is when we're working a lot on our impact reports. So where we capture all of the impact and the metrics and the data that we've had across the whole year. And it's a big project because we make an impact report for all of our schools. So now we're going to be doing 25. And then we have this like big network wide impact report as well. And so that's kind of like our closed loop on the work that we've done. And so being intentional about planning ahead, thinking about how do all the things that we've done over the past few months play into this impact report, it kind of seals everything that we've done and worked on really, really well. But also to your point of kind of like evolving, we're rethinking how we do our network impact report. And like, it's not like we're adding something brand new, but we're taking something that we've done in the past and adding to it. And that's kind of a cool thing that we're working on now as we've grown of, okay, we have this template that we really love, but we have so much more to share. So we're just adding to it. And now this project used to feel really intimidating, but it doesn't because we have a system. And I think it just speaks to like finding a way to close the loop on whatever project or experience you've been working on, because this involves reflection. It involves kind of capturing everything in one place. Yeah, I think that's the example from Student Made that I would pull for that.
What about looking back, like all time? So over the years, like 3 years, 4 years back, projects that were really big and important at the time that now seem like wow, we're so far past that, or that has set the stage, or gotten us to these three phases ahead now where we're here. Yeah. And like, what was your strategy there around projects and using them to like get further ahead as a company, as a program?
I think we've talked about this in other episodes and blogs, but like a project can be such a big and daunting task. Like it's so broad of like, say the project is, we want to add 5 new campuses to our network. Like that in itself is really daunting and big. So I think what's been really important that we've done is we've broken that down into a bunch of kind of more minor goals of, okay, to do that, we want to make our marketing really stand out and share really impactful stories that make people feel connected to what we do. And we want to make sure that we're walking the walk. We're actually impacting where we say we are. And so you have this like big goal or project of like growing to 5 new campuses. But really, unless you break that down to specifics, it feels impossible to accomplish. And so I think that's something that we've learned and been intentional about, of like focusing on those specifics rather than that big overarching goal.
Being a program that works across so many campuses and has so many different like use cases and different issues that come up, different challenges, finding a system that covers all of that can be really challenging and can make like what is supposed to be a 1-month project really turn into like 1 year. What's one thing that you maybe felt like a project that was supposed to end in a way, but like didn't, maybe kept dragging on, but it was like the importance of finishing it rather than leaving it 75% of the way done?
Well, just like an ongoing project for us that we've been consistent in progressing in is always communication, effective communication, like within our program and all the students that we work with, but then also like driving authentic engagement from students. And it's a big struggle because as we're talking about in here, we're talking so much about how students are kind of like the busiest people on earth, whether they actually are or they just think they are. And so it's been a consistent effort to, well, how do we communicate better and how do we make our offering stand out compared to all the other offerings? And we have little tools that we've invested in. Like I remember one year we switched from GroupMe to Flare, and that was like a big change that we made. Felt like we were starting all the way from the bottom of like, okay, we have pretty good communication through GroupMe, but it's lacking in functionality, and we started from the bottom, and it's still not exactly what we'd hope it would be now, but it's a consistent thing where no matter what point in the semester we're at, we're focusing on it constantly, and everything we're doing is like coming back to, are we chipping away at this initial goal that we started, even if we're not finished with it, but like consistently making progress, and not like, okay, we switched to Flare, so now we're good on communication and let's start another project or a new topic. It's like that same goal still exists, but we're coming at it in a different way each semester, but consistent.
Yeah, like we said, there are 500 plus students, and well, like 600 if you count the managers. So there's different priorities for students running our program. on campus and then being part of it with their business. And we have to, from our, top level down, from you to program managers to campus level managers, have to make sure those systems are like so solid. So I feel like that's definitely been the thing over the years, where
Yeah.
growing from like 2 to 5 to 10 to 20, how are the communication systems like really consistent and clear, that you build a brand in the sense of like what's expected from student involvement?
Yeah.
'Cause like you said,
We're
other
still,
offerings that might be
um,
different than how your sorority runs, or how this other club, you're maybe in this club you only have to go to 2 meetings a semester and that's all that's required. um, and how do we come in as like a company, a third party thing that they're part of, but we have a totally different norms than how like campus organizations would work.
yeah,
And so, that's,
it's a
yeah,
puzzle.
that's, and like you said, it's not finished either. Yeah, it's always improving.
Always evolving. And it changes every time, every year, because the more schools you add to that, it changes. So it's like as soon as you've got it down, it changes. You add 5 more schools to that, it looks a little bit different. So it's like it's a consistent
Yeah.
focus. Definitely.
And I feel like with adding things, like how you said, you already have an intimidating list in front of you, don't add to it. I feel like we have ideas all the time of things we could add to the program that would make it better. But you have to think about it from a consistency communication standpoint of like, okay, once you do this,
Yeah.
like that's got to be worked into the whole funnel down
The whole,
to
yes.
making sure it actually works, because you can have a great idea that lasts for a semester and then fizzles out, but we're thinking like, okay, years from now, is this going to be sustainable? Putting in adding a conference to student made,
Mm-hmm.
and now that's like something that takes a ton of, again, like starting from the bottom, something that takes a lot of planning and
Yeah.
consistency to actually. We've done the first one, working on the second one. Going to be in
Yeah.
Texas next year, and man, the systems, the communication, it's really like, yeah. So it's like that constant challenge of like when to add something new to your plate to make sure that you don't drop something else that you have to keep
Mm-hmm.
going, but that you're always evolving too and adding in cool new things, because you can't just do the
Yes.
same thing forever.
Yes. And there
Yeah.
are times of the year, I think the start of a new year is a great time to do that, but not in a final push. You should kind of like
Right.
put the blinders on a little bit of like, that's a great idea. There's going to be time for it, but it's not in the last 2 weeks to get, in whatever
Right.
you need to accomplish, whatever timeline you have.
So,
Mm.
okay. So we've talked about a lot of different things to avoid, and different outcomes that can happen when time feels limited and you are either frantically trying to get everything done, um, time is going too quick, and you just are, it's flying by and you're kind of crazy through it all. And all the way back to number one of how do you find what actually matters and what you should actually focus
Mhm.
on. So this number four here is kind of a, with all that stuff in mind, what do you want to make sure to focus on or to get out of just being in this place in life that has all this going
Mhm.
on? And there are things to choose to do, things not to do, things to look out for, all of that, but like more of an overall mindset. How do we want to go about basically this as our life? And I think you gave a good title to it. Don't forget to enjoy the hustle.
Yes. So the commotion of the everyday moves time along fast. Between running your business, social commitments, and everything else, it's easy to get caught up in the stress and forget to find joy in the day to day. Finding contentment with where you're at will help ensure it doesn't just fly by. You'll be more present, more thoughtful, and more grateful for each opportunity. This might look like pausing for a quick win check at the end of the day, reflecting on goals set back at the start of the year and seeing how far you've come, or taking small moments to reward yourself for consistent commitment. Momentum isn't just about doing more, it's about feeling good while you do it. It's true, you'll never get these moments back. But if you don't ground yourself in them and take notice of where you are, you'll miss out on the journey itself. And spoiler alert, the journey is the best part.
The journey is the best part. That's kind of funny, because all there is the journey. There's actually nothing else.
Yeah, so I think what stands out to me about this final topic is like, even if, you know, you have done or practiced tips and tricks to accomplish your goals, and you're coming to this final push really prepared, like, no matter how well you did, it's still going to be chaotic because it's the ending of something. And so there's going to be those emotions. There are going to be the things that you still have to get done, the things that you want to get done. And so, as much as we want to prepare and change that, we're going to get to a point where we can't. And so, this is just kind of about no matter what it looks like, and even if it feels scary and chaotic, enjoy it. And I think there's something like exciting and a little bit invigorating about leaning into the chaos, and the fear of this phase, because it's true. Like I said, you're never going to get these moments back. And I think that kind of jolts a little bit of a presence or a gratefulness in you that you don't have when you're in the middle of something or at the beginning of something. So, like, kind of sitting in that and enjoying it and finding the positives of it, I think will help you make the most of the time too.
That's really good. That is a good call to us all. This is probably like a Zen concept, but like thinking that there's anything outside of the journey, thinking that there's any future is interesting. I think when things get really busy, people look for it being over, like getting to a place that's the future, past maybe the
Yeah.
chaos that you're in. And that's it's in your mind, it exists. Like, okay, there's a future time when like I'm better off after all this and this is over.
Yeah.
But probably not. It's always one, you're always where you are. You're never going to be in the future from where you are. You're always only where you are. And if like this might be, we said like the last 2 weeks of college, that might be like a outstanding example, because it is kind of crazy. And that's probably a time of life unlike any other. But say in your business, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and like maybe using student made as an example, like there are times where it's so busy where we've had to, I remember months where we went to 2 different conferences. Thinking back to a year and a half ago, we went out to, it
Mm-hmm.
was like October. We were going out to Arkansas for a conference, and then for like 4 days. And then we were flying to Boston for a conference that was like another 2 days, 3 days, and had all these events and all this craziness. And then trying to like keep up with our work at the same time. It was like a month of total craziness. Oh, and then we got back from that and then had to go to Aruba for a wedding. Had to go to Aruba. Got to go to
Got
Aruba
to go.
for a wedding. And we had like 2 days at home and then this transition, and it was just like, oh my goodness, I don't want to do that ever again. But thinking about it, like enjoying where we're at, we got to go to Arkansas and get a tour of this amazing like Bentonville region.
Mm-hmm.
Bentonville, Fayetteville, it's just like exploding. Walmart's headquarters, all that. Very interesting. Met a lot of awesome people. Had this conference in Boston where we had 4 student made pop-ups there. Of course, again, met so many
That's awesome.
people. Got to see my family there a little bit because it was in Boston. And then went to Aruba for this trip. And I think just kind of judging all that in my head felt like, oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
this is so crazy. This is like terrible, but not realizing like all the amazing things that we just packed into 1 month of life from
Mm-hmm.
being part of all those things. That was actually like super cool.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
I
there's 2 different
think
ways,
a
totally
really
two
cool
different ways
part
you
of
can look at it.
this, a really cool part of this too, is like how you impress yourself in these times too, of like I'll even break this down to like a day, like a really busy day when you have to wake up early, you go to run an errand or you go work out, and then you have meetings all day and you have this project you have to finish and then an obligation at night. And part of that is like, whoa, that was a whirlwind. But isn't there this sense of like accomplishment of like, hey, I did
Mm,
that, like I got it all done. And of course we don't want to live in that because we don't want to live in busy culture. but there's this element of like, wow, I can do hard things, and I was present during all of that. And there's this special feeling about it, and I think it's almost like, feels like a little bit of a superpower thing. And I think, when you see Tom Brady score 28 points in 3 minutes or whatever, there's a little bit of like a, whoa, I can't believe he did that with the time he had left.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes a lot of life happens in a short period of time, and then there's a long period of time then not very much happens. And
Hmm.
I guess being okay with that, I think for me, I naturally want to find the consistent like level equilibrium of thing. Like, okay, this is steady. This is like every week is somewhat the same, rather than like looking forward to October when, okay, we got 2 conferences, we're going to be in 2 different countries. I'm thinking back to, oh my goodness, I'm thinking back to just another example. It was the following October, this past October, we had a conference in Canada, the GCEC conference, and then which we really were not going to go to because it was a very, very, very busy month already. And then we had this family trip to Europe that you mentioned. And it was like, okay, so we're going to go to Canada, come back, go to Italy, come back, like all in a month. Like how, like that didn't even feel desirable at that point. Um, even though, even though they're great things. So, but anyway, I guess that's just saying like sometimes it happens to be October for us. I don't know why. A lot happens. So realize like, okay, so in the what quarter is that? Fourth quarter, October, November, December. Like
Yeah.
October is going to be a big time, and there's going to be a lot. And maybe December is like really slow, and that's okay. Learning to be okay with that and kind of gear up for whatever month is going to be your
Hmm.
busiest one. Like I know in a lot of jobs, there's busy seasons and then slow seasons. Most people would probably say they just try to get through that season. Whatever it is, like just get through it, back to normality after.
Hmm.
But you don't have to. You don't have to just grin and bear it and get through it. You can enjoy it. So, our signature question, our signature making it creative question for you, Lindsay, looking at a 60-second snapshot from the past month, as we hear from you every month on these episodes. So something from the past month that stands out to you, reflecting this theme of making the most of limited time, either practicing one of these 4 tips here, or we are in this time period now, as we've said, coming down to the end of the year for us. A lot of things we want to focus on accomplishing.
This is going to take me more than 60 seconds to describe, but we recently met a partner, a local business that does in Charleston, that does kind of like I guess you'd call it tracking of experiences to give students a better understanding of what they've learned, how they've developed, and what they've accomplished. And we met them, we didn't meet them until I think it was end of March. So usually, like we said in the previous questions, we're not adding new projects starting in April when our kind of busy season comes in April and ends in May. But we wanted to do a pilot with them to learn more about the tangible experience and takeaways of our managers across our network. And this past week, I got kind of the first analysis of what they've been responding to the pulse checks of their experience, and that was really cool. It was really cool to see them reflect more in detail on the tangible things that they're learning and how it's impacting them outside of student made. And so I think that connects with this, because I never thought we'd start a new project in April, or that we'd have time to get this done or do it effectively. But seeing that we took the chance on that and we're able to fit it in, and the impact it's having and the information it's giving us, that was a really cool highlight.
Cool. Yeah. Well, it fit into our bigger project at the time of adding in new partners to our program. So that was nice. Yes. That it wasn't like a total one-off project. It was
right,
sort of a last-minute addition to this project we've been working on throughout the last 6 months or so.
That's a good point.
Which made it a little more doable. Random. It wasn't like, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. So what was the 60 seconds of that?
The 60 seconds of that was reading the first kind of report we got from the partners on what the managers had reflected on. And they gave us kind of like 5 main conclusions of what managers are thinking about and gaining from this experience. So that was the 60 seconds, reviewing that report and seeing what came out in such a short period of time. The final push of this semester provides us with a unique opportunity. One option is to panic about things coming to an end and feeling bummed about things we didn't get to accomplish. Let's all agree to skip that option. The real opportunity we have is the chance to finish strong, gain momentum, and enter summer with clarity, confidence, and a sense of accomplishment. This final month isn't just about checking boxes or surviving deadlines. It's about building habits, celebrating progress, and setting yourself up for success in both your business and your personal life. So take a deep breath, lock in, and let's make these final weeks count.
Thank you so much for listening today. We hope you feel inspired and a little bit more equipped to go introduce something creative to the world. You can look forward to more episodes like this one, practical tips and lessons for founders from our co-founder, Lindsay, as well as episodes on our top 3 favorite brands every month, student brands, brought to you by our marketing strategist, Liz. And then lastly, some deep dives into the journeys of students of ours, student founders starting an impressive craft and turning that into a business on their campus. As far as what's coming up next week, you can look forward to a Top Brands episode featuring 3 impressive student brands from University of South Carolina, Michigan State, and University of Missouri. As a little heads up, we will be heading to the dessert shop, the cosmetic aisle, and a vibey living room as the themes for that episode. We'll see you there, and until then, make it creative. Where are you off to for the rest of your day, Lindsay?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I
Our guest.
am going to have lunch, and then I am going to check my email and do the bare minimum and respond to my emails. Just kidding. And then I have some meetings later this afternoon with our program managers.
Some meetings on a Friday. What gives?
I know, Friday afternoon. I like meetings on Fridays.
I'm just going to throw in a plug here. Shameless plug for Gentle Soul Blends. Check it out. I got my first market tomorrow. I'm out there steeping big samples, like gallon samples. They look beautiful. Today is a tea day for myself. Also probably editing this podcast, which always takes longer than expected, but that's okay. And we got gorgeous weather here in Charleston.
Gorgeous weather.
Got to finish off the garden too before we leave for 10 days. Gotta finish planting that garden. Not to get into busy mindset or anything. I got the garden.
True.
We got the house to clean before we go away. And yeah.
But no busy mindset. We're going to focus on what we need to accomplish.
We're going to enjoy every step of it. I'm going to just live in radiant joy of all I get to do today.
That is so lovely.
Right? Yeah. I'm practicing number 4. Today's a number 4 day.
Good job.
Yep. And no emails. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Boom. Okay, 1 hour 20. Oof. It's going to be some cutting down on this one.